Aloha, it's Dave Lawrence, and we are live in Aloha Stadium. We're out in the parking lot, and I'm with one of my favorite musicians to talk to, doing a little follow-up interview today with my brother Ziggy Marley. Aloha and mahalo, brother Ziggy.
Aloha.
How you been doing, dude? It's been a while since we had you in the radio station, and I'm excited because we're talking right before the movie about your dad comes out. Any reflections? I'm going to ask you a few questions about that, but are you getting excited for that? That's right around the corner, yeah?
Yeah, I'm getting excited for people to see it, and feel a deeper connection to Bob than they had before. So I'm very excited about that.
When you were putting this together, some of the things that came to mind for me that I wanted to ask you about, when you think about all the songs that your father has delivered to the world, we're so fortunate there are a lot of them, and you play many of them live. What are the ones that are your personal favorites that Bob wrote?
Personal favorite, all of them really. There's not one song that he wrote that's not my favorite.
How about a song then, on by the same token, that is the most important culturally or socially? Because he's transcended, he's such an important person on so many levels to folks. And I'm just wondering, when you think, well, maybe a redemption song, maybe Get Up, Stand Up, songs that maybe have a political relevance. Is there one or two you could point to that you think are most important that he's given us?
Africa Unite, because Africa is such a big thing for Bob and for us. And this idea of African unity is still escaping us as a reality. So I think that's one of his most important songs.
Africa Unite, and one of his biggest themes for sure. And when he came to the islands, he brought his vibration here to Hawaii. It was 1979. And when I think about this movie, there's bound to be a few things from '79 in it. You kind of revealed one of the more lighthearted moments in there. You up on stage having fun with your father in Zimbabwe, I guess it is. But also in '79, he came to the Waikiki Shell. Did any of that footage emerge? Is there any of that's going to be represented in this film? And do you have any anecdotes about that time that have come up because of the research?
I'm not sure if that's in. I'm not sure if the Waikiki Shell concert specifically is in it. So yeah, I don't know.
Did you come as a little boy on that trip?
No.
You didn't come on that one?
Oh, no.
You came to some really fun ones in '79 though. You're in the Sunsplash '79 movie. You've seen yourself in there.
Long time ago, yeah, I've seen it.
When you're wearing a really sharp dressed outfit. They had you dressed up in a really sharp dressed outfit on the stage.
Yeah, we always used to, we're grand-auntie, and she always used to make clothes for us. So I used to dress sharp back in those days.
You have like a suit coat on. You have this amazing sport coat, and I'm looking at it thinking, do you remember that?
I remember those days, yeah.
One of the things that your papa's known for from those days, that film had a lot of other musicians in it, and they're watching you guys on stage dancing. It was kind of funny to see the other people who had been at the show watching you out there dancing with your brother Steven, I guess it is. The two of you are out there. And it made me think of some of the musicians who've crossed the paths with him. He jammed with Stevie Wonder one time in Jamaica. Are there musicians who have done interviews or that you've hooked up with to make contributions to the movie that were memorable little sessions, like talking to people about your pop?
Well, I remember most of the people talk to in the film and talk about Bob in the film is people who knew Bob, intimately. It's not like... Not
stars.
Yeah, no, not stars.
Real people.
Real people. Some of his musicians talk. Family Man Barrett talk. And a couple more people. So there's a lot. It's much more insightful than just speaking to somebody who loved Bob. We're speaking to people who actually knew him intimately.
Who was the most who did you learn the most from about your father by doing this?
Well, we know our father, but we learn specific things. For example, during his time in Germany when he was, ill, we were children and we never really get exposed to that, so it was very emotional to hear that whole story and of that journey. Some of the earlier stuff from Bunny Whalers about them rehearsing in a graveyard and things like that. Very interesting, very funny stuff and very emotional stuff too.
When you were a little boy, I saw a video as I was preparing for this of you on stage with the Wailers playing, and you were doing Get Up, Stand Up, and you were a little boy and the whole band, and it was at a big place, and it looked like somewhere on the mainland U.S. It was just like a giant place, and you were really young, and it made me think, was there pressure on you at that point to sort of assume the mantle of your father? When you were a little guy, do you look back now and say, yeah, there was sort of some pressure? Because sometimes it may feel like it take a lot to walk in your shoes.
No, I never feel any pressure at that time. I think this idea of pressure and all this stuff come up kind of often. I never, because I was naive to that whole concept. So I never really paid no mind. But I realized what you guys were trying to say later on. Oh, that's what you guys were talking about. Okay. But at that age, you're not thinking about anything.
But then later you reflected on things that you heard or said or that happened, and you figured it out later. But then there was pressure later. You said that. You said later there was pressure. You were naive at first. How old were you when you started to feel it?
I think that's not the right way to put it. The understanding of what you guys meant by pressure, I understood that. But yet still, in my own self, there's no burden on me. I do, we grow as people, as human beings, as musicians. It's a natural course in life. And you learn as you go, and you learn about yourself as you grow. And that is just natural. That have nothing to do with, the pressures or burdens. So I don't know. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I understand the expectations and the critics. I understood that. But for me, it was not part of how I thought about what I was doing. I never,
You accomplished a lot, and it would be difficult maybe for you in the shoes you're in to see it that way. I understand that, because you are your own cat, and you've done a whole lot of stuff and developed into your own man. But as you make a film like this, and I started to really look at your dad more, to try to get ready for this interview, because you brought up the film, you were interested in it, you're excited, you want people to get to know your dad more. You said, I want to bring them into the inner circle, you put it. And I started to wonder, what your papa would think of the man you are and the man you are continuing to turn out to be.
What he would think, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's hard to figure out.
Yeah, I don't know what he would think. I'm his son, he love us. Love me from when I was a boy, a baby, and he love me now, you know what I'm saying? It's just love. Him love us,
I think he'd be very proud of you.
Eh?
I think he would be very proud of you.
Yeah, my mother is proud of me. She told me that yesterday. So, that we know,
What's the update on Mom? Where was she at that she told you that?
Mom, she's there in Jamaica, I get ready for the premiere in Jamaica in April,
You're going to go down for that?
Yeah, well, I think about that, yeah.
And where is that, Kingston?
Yeah, in Kingston.
Wow, that's going to be heavy. Is you the star of your first Legends of Reggae show going to be down there? Jimmy going to be hanging with you to watch it?
Jimmy, I'm not sure, I think he's going to be on tour. I see he's coming to Hawaii soon too.
Remember, I'm going to be asking him his earliest Ziggy memories. Remember, I promised you
yeah.
on the phone that I would ask him that. On one last thing on the 79 thing, because it is kind of a curiosity to me. Your pop's arrangements through the years really changed. And I'm a really big fan of all of the eras, but 79 had the big fat horn section. It's like this really incredible arrangements with the horns. You know what I'm talking about, how 79 sort of had a fatter, crisper horn kind of sound. Has that ever, or is there a favorite era for you when you listen back to his music? Do you distinguish at all by that, by the different sounds that he was giving off?
Not really, but I see, I recognize some changes. I recognize the latter years, like the album Survival and things like that is more, I think, getting more Afrocentric and more
getting in touch with his Africa roots.
Yeah, trying to make something happen over there, I think it was. And in those days, I don't think he was that concerned with making music for whatever people might think. I think he was more interested in doing music for Africa,
Towards that period, the later period of his life.
Yeah, that's why Survival and Africa Unite and Zimbabwe. I think he was very interested in Africa at that point. I wanted to put some focus on it.
Had your dad ever been to the Middle East? Had he ever been to Israel?
No, not that I know of, no.
How many, when was the last time you were there?
Last year? Was it last year? I think I was here last year.
When you think about yourself and the way you've kind of evolved as a person and the influence of different things in your life, your father obviously has been one. You're going to share with the world how your father has sort of influenced the world via this movie. How has your wife and the culture that came with her, thereby Israel, how has any of that affected your life? Have you adopted any new practices, any new interests? We were talking about gardening. Did any of that come from there? Is there anything that's sort of from her culture or background that you've adopted and it's become, you're like, wow, I've got this from you. That's pretty cool.
Well, you have to remember that the Rasta culture is strongly connected to the roots of the Old Testament, David, Solomon, and these prophets. So we have a strong connection to that. Star David and these things. We know of these things long before we know of Israel or I met my wife. So we already had a connection there. Even the way we wear our hair, the dreadlocks, is written off in the Old Testament, the vow of the Nazarene, and is practiced in Ethiopia by the Batawe priests. So and in Ethiopia there's also those who believed in the God of Solomon, in the God of David. And so there's a connection always there. But I think one thing that I've seen that I really like about being amongst my wife and her family is that there's a strong sense of history, of remembering, Passover, Rosh Hashanah, Purim. There's a strong, and I like that, and I wish some of that and my people, that we had that strong connection to our history and knew of it and remembered it and celebrated it and remembered the good and the bad of it. So I really dig that about that side of the equation, and I wish the other side of the equation had that, because we need that. We need to remember. We need connection to our roots. So
you do a Passover dinner and stuff.
Yeah, man, Shabbat and them thing,
It's nice to see. It's
a family thing, which I like, keeping the family together, remembering certain things in history. It's good.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. There's probably some good food in there too that you come to like, yeah?
Yeah, man.
As we go to wrap this up, Ziggy, when I think about the future of you and who you are today, your dad, when he gets presented in this film, he's going to be a roots reggae artist. He's a cultural figure. He's beyond really a roots guy. Do you feel like a commitment to yourself, like to the term roots? I'm a roots artist. I'm going to stand for roots reggae. Is that like something that you need to have with you going into the future, or how would you define who you're going to be as an artist? Is that a really important thing?
No, I'm going to see that as the important thing. There's no definition for us. He's like, the universe. You can define the universe. You can't define the universe. Nobody can define it. You can define God? No. It is undefinable, because it's everything and so many things. But the most important thing is love. If I want to define myself, is love. We have a strong root. Our root is strong. But, our branches spread out. We have one root, but the branches them spread all over and connect wherever them need for connect, so I'm just love, love is my
religion.
Love is me, so
I know it. You play.
I don't want any other definition but that,
That's what we love about you too, brother. That's the root. That's the message. That's what you're saying, and that's what we love. Hey, I appreciate you taking time. Next time you're through, you come to the studio. Come back and play for me. You had fun that time, yeah?
Yes, of course.
I missed that. I hope we can do that again. I really do appreciate it, and you be safe. Next time you're through, you make sure you look me up. You hear?
Right, brother, mahalo.